Aurobindo के विषय में बोलना it's like as Srivindo has said himself that my life is not outside. So just to start off with Srivindo, the yogi, poet, philosopher, social and political leader. He was born in Calcutta on August 15, 1872. At the age of 7, he was taken to England, where he was educated at St. Paul's School, London, and King's College, Cambridge. He mastered Greek and Latin, learned French, and had enough knowledge of German and Italian to read Goethe and Dante. Returning to India in 1893, he joined the administrative services of the state of Baroda. Later, he became a professor of English at Baroda College. Today, we are going to learn a few things about Srivindo, and before I begin, I would like to draw your attention on some of his writing. Shri Aurobindo was a rishi in the same lineage as Vedic and Upanishadic sages. Shri Aurobindo's writings are not from mental plane, that is, they are not intellectual writings. Hence, you cannot find any contradiction in his writing of 6,000 plus pages. They are always complete. To give you a few examples of his writing, in an interview in January 1910, Srivindo told a correspondent of a vernacular Tamil weekly named India, and I quote, "Since 1907, we are living in a new era which is full of hope for India. Not only India, but the whole world will see sudden upheavals and revolutionary changes. The high will become low and low high. The oppressed and depressed shall be elevated. The nation and humanity will be animated by a new consciousness, new thought, and new efforts will be made to reach new ends. Amidst these revolutionary changes, India will become free." Mind, this Srivindo is saying in 1907 that India will become free. At that time, British government, which then ruled India, regarded Sri Aurobindo as one of the most dangerous men. They duly made a record of his remark, and in their official report, they noted Aurobindo Ghosh, who is proved to be living in Pondicherry, is stated to have declared in reply to a Karma Yogin correspondent that a new epoch has commenced, and in the next 4 or 5 years, there will be great deluge, change, revolution, great persons falling, low persons rising, change, change, change everywhere, change in the government, change in our people, new method, new ideas in all. This is a British government. 4 years later, in 1914, the First World War started, which in turn led to the Second World War. Britain became saddled with war debt. The British Empire collapsed, and it was not just India, but many other countries which gained freedom in the subsequent upheavals. Between 1945 and 65, the number of people under British rule outside the UK fell from 700 million to 5 million. Sri Aurobindo had accurately foreseen that the oppressed and the depressed would become elevated. Another example, we know China launched a military campaign against Tibet in October 1950 and against India in October 1962. Sri Aurobindo had foreseen these Chinese plans when the Korean War had just begun on 25th June 1950. Again, the date to be noted here, 28th June 1950. In a letter to a disciple, Sri Aurobindo wrote, "It is the first move in the communist plan of campaign to dominate and take possession first of these northern parts and then of Southeast Asia as a preliminary to their maneuvers with regard to the rest of the continent. In passing, Tibet as a gate opening to India. If they succeed, there is no reason why domination of the whole world should not follow by steps until they are ready to deal with America." Further down, he says, I think that is all I can see at present. For the moment, the situation is as grave as it can be. And just mind the words of Srivindo. He's not saying I think, he's saying I can see. So Srivindo, so when we make the reference of Srivindo's writing, that is not intellectual writing or it's not a uh, uh, writing in that manner or the mental writing, because Srivindo was seeing, he was a visionary. He was a drashta in the true sense of Gita, and he was just seeing things. To understand the vision of Shri Aurobindo, we need to look at the last century, 20th century, in two parts. First half of century as a upheavals, and second half as moving forward towards solutions. First half was full of upheaval and two great war and humanity going through tremendous pain and suffering. This was the time when Shri Aurobindo sowed the seed of new India, when he put forward the idea of complete Swaraj. What we need to understand is that at the time, all prominent leaders of Congress and groups were only asking a smaller concession from British, and no one had courage or vision to see India free, independent country working out all the details. In 1905, an unfortunate event of Bengal partition had happened, and during this time, people of Bengal had started what is known as Swadeshi and boycott movement, which was started without any organization or leader. It was just started by the people of the Bengal. Idea of Swadeshi later was developed as to have everything Indian, be it an administration, education, governance, business, whereas boycott was a deterrent for the people to follow Swadeshi. If you look at the time after 1930, it is only boycott, also known as satyagraha, was practiced. In this spirit, to form a new education policy and have our own institution, National College in Calcutta was started in 1906, and Sri Aurobindo came to Calcutta to become first principal of the National College from Baroda. Sri Aurobindo became actively involved in the nationalist movement. As editor of the newspaper Bande Matram, he was the first to put forth the ideal of complete political independence of India. It is in the pages of Bande Matram we can see how Swadeshi and boycott was taking shape in India and how British government was keeping Congress leadership close to them as they were only asking for a small concession and were given time to time keep them in check. It may be a great service to India to have Bande Matram being circulated as part of 75th independence celebration of India, which also coincides as 105th birth anniversary of Shri Aurobindo. According to Shri Aurobindo, independent India is not only important of India, but also it is a necessary step towards world unification, and India has a role to play. Shri Aurobindo could see that only a spiritual development of human consciousness can ensure full freedom and development of the nation. He could see and was convinced that the solution of individual and collective problems of life lies in the change of human consciousness through the practice of integral yoga based on truth consciousness. Srivindo wrote on India's Renaissance, the future belongs to the young. It is a young and a new world which is now under process of development, and it is the young who must create it, but is also a world of truth, courage, justice, lofty aspiration, and a straightforward fulfillment which we seek to create. For the coward, for the self-seeker, for the talker who goes forward at the beginning and afterwards leaves his fellow in the lurch, there is no place in the future of this moment. A brave, frank, clean-hearted, courageous, and aspiring youth is the only foundation on which the future nation can be built. In Savitri, Sri Aurobindo says, The outward and the immediate are our field. The dead past is our background and support. And also in foundation of Indian culture, Shri Aurobindo says, to bring forward the glories of our past and scatter on Europe and America as much of its treasure as they will receive will not save us. That liberality which enrich and strengthen our cultural excellence, but for us, it will only serve to give a self-confidence which will be useless and even misleading if it is not made a force of will for a greater creation. He also further emphasized all attempts to revive the past must fail. India's freedom was seen by Sri Aurobindo in the larger context of the destiny of humanity. He saw India as the living embodiment of the highest spiritual knowledge and the repository of sublimest spiritual achievement of the human race. As he wrote in the same editorial for Vande Mataram, India must have Swaraj in order to live for the world, not as a slave for the material and political benefit of a single purse-proud and selfish nation, but a free people for the spiritual and intellectual benefit of the human race. For Sri Aurobindo, India is the spiritual battlefield of the world where the final victory over the forces of the ignorance and darkness would be achieved. He wrote about this destined mission of India in many of his writings during those revolutionary days. He also expressed that in his speeches. This knowledge was no ordinary knowledge. It was the knowledge, rather a truth-seeking drishti of a yogi, a rishi. Sri Aurobindo writes, our ideal of Swaraj involves no hatred of any other nation, nor of the administration, which is now established by law in this country. Our ideal of patriotism proceeds on the basis of love and brotherhood, and it looks beyond the unity of the nation and envisages the ultimate unity of mankind. But it is the unity of brothers, equals, and free men that we seek, not the unity of master and serf, of devourer and devoured. On 30th May 1909, Sri Aurobindo gave his last political speech after acquittal from Alipur jail in Uttarpara. Sri Aurobindo reminded his fellow countrymen of the work that India must do for humanity. When it is said that India shall rise, it is the Sanatan Dharma that shall rise. When it is said that India shall be great, it is the Sanatan Dharma that shall be great. When it is said that India shall expand and extend herself, it is the Sanatan Dharma that shall expand and extend itself over the world. It is for the Dharma and by the Dharma that India exists. He says, I say no longer that nationalism is a creed, a religion, a faith. I say that it is the Sanatan Dharma, which for us is nationalism. This Hindu nation was born with the Sanatan Dharma. With it, it moves, and with it, it grows. When the Sanatan Dharma declines, then the nation declines. And if the Sanatan Dharma were capable of perishing with the Sanatan Dharma, it would perish. Sri Aurobindo, in his essays on Gita, defined the dharmas as follows because uh, it becomes very complicated and complex as of when Sri Krishna had defined dharma in Gita. That dharma and this dharma would, the context was different because at that time Arjun was asking what to do or what not to do. But in today's time, we ask God, why are we here? Why is this whole creation? So Aurobindo defines the dharma in Essays on Gita. He says, in its primary sense, it means a fundamental law of our nature, which secretly conditions all our activities. And in this sense, each being, type, species, individual, group has its own dharma. Secondly, there is a divine nature which has to develop and manifest in us. And in this sense, dharma is the law of the inner workings by which that grows in our being. Thirdly, there is the law by which we govern our outgoing thought and action and our relations with each other so as to help best our own growth and that of the human race towards the divine ideal. While in Pondicherry between 1914 to 1921, in the Arya, a philosophical magazine that Srivindo began to write extraordinarily illuminating pieces leading to what could be regarded as civilizational gift, the life divine, the synthesis of yoga, the foundation of Indian culture, and many other creations. Arya was a monthly magazine, and Srivindo wrote single-handedly 64 pages every month for 6 years. A disciple of Srivindo writes in 1932 when asked to Srivindo if he is working for India's freedom, he replied that India's independence is a done deal, and he is now working with what to come, that is chauvinism and Gundaraj in India and how to deal with this. His public announcement recommending the acceptance of Cripps mission in 1942 vis-a-vis the independence of India bears ample testimony of his active interest. It is a pity that it was rejected by the country's wise men of those days. Apropos of that, mother said, now calamity will befall India. In a telegram dated 31st March 1942, he writes to Cripps, I welcome it as an opportunity given to India to determine for herself and organize in all liberty of choice, her freedom and unity, and take an effective place among the world's free nations. I hope that it will be accepted and right use made of it, putting aside all discord and divisions. And later he said, I offer my public adhesion in case it can be of any help in your work. Sir Stafford Cripps replied, I'm almost touched and gratified by your kind message, allowing me to inform India that you, who occupy a unique position in the imagination of Indian youth, are convinced that the declaration of His Majesty's government substantially confers that freedom for which Indian nationalism has so long been struggled. He did not stop there. He sent a personal emissary, Dorai Swami Iyer. He was a lawyer in Chennai to meet with Congress leadership, Gandhiji and others, where his letter was given to the Congress leadership at that time, but they rejected the whole idea and made the point that Shri Aurobindo is not in active politics, so we will not be listening to his comments. Srivindo had written in an ideal of human unity. If a spiritual and psychological unity were effectuated, liberty would have no perils and disadvantage. I will close today's session with what is known as 5 Dreams of Srivindo, which was given to Tiruchirappalli All India radio station as a message on 15th August 1947. In this, at the end, he said, partition must go by whatever means, in whatever way. The division must go. Unity must and will be achieved, for it is necessary for the greatness of India's future. In short, I will just give you all 5 dreams. The first dream was a revolutionary movement which would create a free and united India. In his first dream, Sri Aurobindo had cautioned of a new invasion and foreign conquest, which we also see as a China uh, attacking India. Another dream was for the resurgence and liberation of the people of Asia and her return to her great role in the progress of human civilization, which we also see until after 1947 to 1965. The third dream was a world union forming the outer basis of a fairer, brighter, and nobler life for all mankind. Fourth dream, the spiritual gift of India to the world, which we can see it is already began and spreading all over the world. The final dream was a step in evolution which would raise man to a higher and larger consciousness and begin the solution of the problems which have perplexed and vexed him since he first began to think and to dream of individual perfection and perfect society. At the end of this message, Shri Aurobindo said, such is the content which I put into this date of India's liberation. Whether or how far this hope will be justified depends upon the new and free India. And if anybody had any doubt on what Shri Aurobindo's message on the unity of the India or the Akhand Bharat concept, what we are talking, maybe a cultural or cultural India, he said, but I have not been discouraged by what is happening because I know and have experienced hundred of times that beyond the blackest darkness, there lies for one who is a divine instrument, the light of God's victory. And the next statement, I have never had a strong and persistent will for anything to happen in the world. I am not speaking of personal things which did not eventually happen even after delay, defeat, or even disaster. With this, I think I will just end my today's some explanation on Sri Aurobindo's New India.
Thank you very much. Both very nice. Let's hear from Govindji. Govindji, is you are there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you, but I don't know why we cannot see you all. Anyway,
Okay.
maybe it's my fault.
No
Anyway,
problem.
I can see you now. So
Thank you.
short term so that everybody else can join. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Bhishmaji, and thank you, Vivekji, of course. Uh, and for given that the topic is Sri Aurobindo and the new India, this meeting is actually happening on a very fortuitous coincidence because yesterday, April 4th, is almost exactly, or probably exactly 111 years to the day when Shri Aurobindo arrived in Pondicherry and in 1910. And once he arrived in Pondicherry, he never left Pondicherry for 40 years. And he stayed there. And the backstory of his coming to Pondicherry was, of course, well known to many people here, that he was the leading light of India's nascent freedom struggle, which was very small but very powerful at that time. And everybody looked up to him, and he was, somebody who was supposed to be taking India all the way to independence. So when he disappeared overnight, it was almost as if Ayodhya waking up and seeing that Ram has left and he has gone for Vanvas. And everybody was saying, "Oh, where is Ram? Where is Ram?" And like when Arjuna went for when the Pandavas went for Agyatwas, then everybody must have been thinking, when are they coming back? We cannot bear this rule of Duryodhan and all these Kauravas. So in the same way, many people were very perplexed, and even today, many people think that Sri Aurobindo basically left the work that he had started. And as Vivekji alluded, that people would ask him that why have you left and what are you doing there? We need you to help secure freedom. And as Vivekji also said, that Sri Aurobindo responded to one of these people saying that the freedom of India is assured. That is not the issue. India is going to get freedom. And it is a simpler issue because all you have to do is get the British out. And this is what I am saying, of course. The real question is what India will do with its freedom and what will happen once India becomes free. Then the whole unknown opens to us. Then the whole unpredictable, unforeseen uh, future we are going to face. What is going to happen then? And it does not look good based on what you were seeing at that time. And he said that I'm here in Pondicherry all this time, and I've been laying the foundation of that future. And if India accepts this work that I'm doing and walks along the path that I'm showing, then it will become the Vishwa Guru. And it is very important that I wanted to say this word, because this word has become such a common word that we keep saying it, that India Vishwaguru hai, India Vishwaguru hai. What does it mean? And I'll just very briefly say, because I don't have a very long sort of a lot of time. But basically, we are living in a new world, a completely new world from the world in which India was the greatest civilization for many millennia. And the newest thing is, of course, the rise of the modern West. And generally, we tend to dismiss the West as being merely materialistic. We say, oh, ye to sab log materialistic hai, hum spiritual hai. But in our very bones, we know that the truth is more than that. Because the West is not merely composed of people who say, okay, I'm going to eat matter, I'm going to drink matter, I'm going to sleep matter, I'm going to enjoy matter. For them, for the past few centuries, matter has been their object of knowledge. And over the centuries, the science that they have built up is almost a kind of a Veda of matter. And along with that Veda of matter, they have acquired many Shaktis of matter. And all these Shaktis, we collectively call them technology. So this is, in fact, a very profound change that has happened. So the spirituality that we perfected, as great and beautiful and wonderful as it is, may not be completely or entirely sufficient to deal with the world in which now matter itself has been revealed as something wonderful and great and powerful, not to be shunned, not to be escaped from, and not to be derided as something that is low or evil and that just will be destroyed in a pralaya at some point. The demand of present day civilization is that what is the destiny of the world itself? What is the destiny of matter? What is the purpose of coming into this world if our ultimate goal was only escape? Our ultimate goal was only freedom. Why come into bondage? If our ultimate goal was only moksha, then why did we come here in the first place? And that is the work that Sri Aurobindo has done, that a new spirituality, which in fact marries materialism and spirituality as we know it and transcends them both and creates something entirely new. That is what he spent his life doing in 40 years in Pondicherry. And that is the spirituality of the future. And it is something that is given to India by Shri Aurobindo as the basis on which it will become the Vishwaguru. Because it is this spirituality which will be able to answer conclusively what is the destiny of matter and why is it that we are here and what is it that is the ultimate goal of the evolution of the world and humanity.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, वेरी गुड. देखिए आपने हरि सिंह जी, you had asked for young people. Now we are getting closer to young people now. Here is a young man who has given so much wisdom to us. Okay, so we are moving forward. Thank you very much for suggestions. Now, if you have any questions, I don't think you have, but if you have questions, you ask questions. Any comments, additions, feel free. 2-3 minutes each, please.
विवेक जी, भीष्म जी, मैं कुछ पूछ रहा हूँ विवेक जी से.
पूछिए.
विवेक जी, आपने बहुत अच्छा अपना प्रेजेंटेशन दिया है महर्षि अरविंदो के बारे में. थोड़ा माँ जो है वहाँ, मदर ऑफ पौंडीचेरी, जरा उनके बारे में भी थोड़ा बता दीजिए. बहुत अच्छा होगा कि महर्षि के बाद उन्होंने कैसे सारा काम संभाला और उन्हीं का संदेश जो है पूरे विश्व में फैलाया.
बिल्कुल. So Shri Aurobindo is incomplete without the mother. As simple as that. So in order to understand mother a little bit, I'll try. Mother was doing her own sadhana in Paris in her own way, and Srivindo was doing his own sadhana in his own way. but they both were working on the same thing, on the same goal of transformation, what is known as transformation of consciousness, and how, and and it was not for their own personal need, because they were all already realized. Mother was realized from her childhood, and if you read mother's writing, you can see that she knew that she is different from the age 5, and at age 12 and 13, by that time she knew she had something different to do in her life. Srivindo used to come in her dream, which she used to call as Krishna. And when she came to Pondicherry in 1914, first time, uh, she realized this is the person who I've been calling him as a Krishna. So mother came to Pondicherry in 1914 and first time, and then second time came in 1920. The coming 24th April will be celebrating the arrival day of mother in our foundation. And after that, she never left. She was working closely with Srivindo on this transformation of consciousness, or what Srivindo also talks about, supramental change of supramental, or bringing the supramental force down. And in 1926, when Srivindo went into the complete isolation where he would not meet anyone, he gave the whole ashram working to the mother. And from that time, ashram started expanding. Different buildings came into picture. Uh, Different people started coming to the ashram. Different activities started happening. And then the uh, World War and all that thing happened, and people were coming in the flows, and mother would accept everyone in the ashram. And they both were still working on it. Uh, in later part of her life, pretty much towards the end when she left her body, she started a city known as Auroville. Uh, that city is a model where you work for the divine, because that city even today runs without any money transaction, without any police. It's an international city. Obviously, it is under Government of India uh, jurisdiction, but other than that, there is no law, there is no police, there is no money transaction. There are people for close to um, I believe 18 to 20 countries, in around 2000 people live there, and they develop things, all kind of things. uh, During their course in the ashram, mother used to take classes where she will explain the people what Srivindo had written, and about a lot of other things. So if we want to know about mother, there are collected volumes of mother conversation with the different people are available. We can read that to understand what mother was doing in the ashram. Uh, Again, there is so much about mother which we can learn. She is the divine mother, uh, the Parashakti, what Sri Aurobindo had said. And the question was asked to Sri Aurobindo when he gave mother the ashram responsibility, because she was a French lady, she was young, and people who were that time in the ashram, they all looked to Sri Aurobindo as God, and they said, if you are going, why is she? And at that time, Sri Aurobindo has written a small booklet called The Mother. That booklet really describes who is the mother. And if anyone can understand that book or work with that book, you would come to know who is the divine mother, the mother who we see in the Srivindo ashram as a lady in a physical body. She is a true truth consciousness beyond all this what we see. And there are many examples of the things, like number of examples are given when you have seen that tremendous force and power, when you simply bow down, because we bow down to the God or divine only when we see the power, the fullness of the power. And there are a number of incidents were given, and they are even today uh, available, and you can feel that even our daily life today also, if you work with the mother, that the divine mother, how does it look in a physical form? So this is what I would say about the mother.
Dhanyavad. Thank you very much. I mean, I know that you all want to say a lot of things. Now, where is our Sutradhar? Hello? Rajiv ji, how much time we have?
We have 15 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 15 minutes. In future, I think we will have more times. Okay. Now let's have 15 minutes of talk. Well, 15 minutes. 3 minutes a piece now. Please, go ahead. Please, any question, any comment?
Yeah, this is Girish Desai. Okay, you go ahead, sir.
No, please go ahead, Girish ji. That's fine.
All right. Whatever I read in the childhood about Shri Aurobindo, Ammubai Purani and Chotubai Purani were his co-workers in the revolution. And when Shri Aurobindo left Krantikari movement, he said that he will not rest till India gets freedom. So Ammubai Purani asked him, why did you leave it? Then Shri Aurobindo said, I see freedom is coming. I see it is coming. So on his words, Ammubai Purani also left the movement and joined him. Ammubai Purani was one of his great follower. And in Belgaum University convocation, he said that Shri Aurobindo was nothing less than Shri Krishna or Maharshi Vyas. Also, I read from Kanayalal Munshi, when he was in Pahalgam, Kashmir, he was feeling the closeness of Shri Aurobindo. He was also impressed by Shri Aurobindo. So he says that I felt that Maharshi Vyas has come to me and told me to do, I was thinking about the Indian culture and propagation of that. And this Vibhuti came in and told you can go ahead and do it. So the creation of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Shri Aurobindo wrote to him that it is not a coincidence. It is that we wanted you to do. So, and in his early age, there is a place, Kuber Bhandari in Gujarat on Narmada River. When he was a revolutionary, he was hiding there from British. So that is the place, still I visited that. And when I visited Pondicherry, Sri Auroville, where Mataji used to give darshan from her balcony, she took samadhi in 1973. I went in 75. But as a visitor also, I felt the vibration of her presence. Auroville is built so superbly. People come there from all over the world and give their contribution selflessly. They eat at the same kitchen and live there. So Shri Aurobindo and his Savitri Gunjan is the best book to read. I cannot follow much of it, but people should read that. That's all. That is all I have to say.
Very good. देखिए ऐसा है कि it looks like we need more time. Okay, topic is such that we need more time. If you don't mind, what we can do, we can have one or two people more talking. Then I think we will extend it to next time also. We'll keep on talking about this because everybody has so much to offer. I can tell you myself that my first cousin, her name was Krishna Sharda Agnihotri. She was disciple of Aurobindo ji, and she got a PhD on him, and she has been going there all the time, and she has told me so many stories. I can spend hours to talk about everything. But anyway, we all want to talk about it. Let us have one or two people talking now, and then I will have to say a few words, and then I think our Sutradhar says that's all for the time being. We'll have next time, maybe we can have extended time also. Okay, please go ahead.
This is Satya. I just want to comment on Govindji's comment about West is materially advanced and they accomplished Vedas type thing. If maybe many of you might have heard the excellent work of Bharat Gyan, what they have unearthed, the advancement in every respect, whether it's a spiritual or material aspect of Indian ancient culture, and how British systematically destroyed it. So West is true, they are very good and very disciplined and very energized in looking into the matter. But the lack of spirituality also leads them into a very imperialistic behavior. And the plundering they are doing, what they were doing in the past in the name of colonialism, it only changed the form. Whether they're killing the space scientists in India or Middle East, what they are doing with oil and the wars they are creating around the world. So there is a very, very ugly side of the West that is directly due to a lack of the spirituality that India had in balancing the most material and spiritual aspects. And that is why it flourished for 10,000 years and it never hurt any nation. That's all.
Right.
Anybody else? Anybody else wants to contribute at this time? Or we can keep it for the next time, okay? We will have a real talk about many other things on this aspect, in addition to other things, okay? So I think that's the best thing to do. And I will suggest, because I know Govindji has a lot of ideas. He just controlled himself, I know it. Maybe we'll give him more chance to talk about other things though. Because I think we need to just move on to our eras of New India. I kept this as suggested by Vivekji. I kept that title purposely because how can we tie up what is happening in India with the past, with that history? So let us talk about that in the, maybe you were saying something about this. I know. Govindji, you were saying something about this, but let's talk more about it. And later on, today is not the time. Today is not the time. Our Sutradhar says that's all. But maybe next time I'll request him to have more time so we can talk about this. Sure. Let me say a few things here now. As I told you earlier, that our president has asked me to carry on this work. I'm talking about Purohitji, so I'm doing it. Now, we had, as I told you, wonderful experience with our program. It was a major program about a few weeks ago, and I had got a lot of people have been talking to me back and forth that they want to join our regular program. And I said, sure, we should join. There's no problem. And we'll join you to contribute. And at the same time, I can tell you that we have almost 3 or 4 or 5 top-notch people talking about different topics. Nationally known, internationally known people who will come and talk to us and on the issues which are relevant to us, India, of the present and the future, what we can do, what others are doing, and also the latest issues about some U.S. organizations talking about India, blah, 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 all of them stuff. I think you have read about that. And we plan to have somebody who knows more about that, who has written more about that, talked more about that. Of course, I can talk all the time, but he will come here and talk to us, and we will have a lot of people listening to him. He is a well-known person in India and all over the world. So I think I'll get him here so that we can all be interested in listening to him and contributing to him. So we will have all this thing going on. And also I will request you all who have come here, please keep on coming and keep on contributing, because we are all talking amongst ourselves. At the same time, we are sending message to everybody else that we have a definite view, definite interest in terms of promoting our India values, India's heritage, India's present, and India's future in our own way. A lot of other people are doing it. We are doing with them also, all those things. But this is also additional thing which we are doing. In addition to that, I would like to say that we have next month, whatever, next week, bi-weekly, we have a topic. But I'll let you know after talking to the person. I'm requesting you all, please don't hesitate to contact, if possibly with me, send me a note that what topic you would like to talk about some of these meetings, okay? Instead of my calling you and requesting you to do it, why don't you offer yourself, then we can figure out who will speak when. And it's a good idea because we all be energized talking about this in the future also, because as we decided that bi-weekly we will have that, every month we will have a speaker on a national level, on international level, okay? And if you have some speakers in mind which you want to recommend, please feel free to send my office or me, whatever, or to Rajiv ji or anybody else, we will figure it out, okay? But we are waiting for something because we have that topic in mind, major topic about Tibet issues. And we have Tibet scholars and everybody else waiting, but we have some reasons to delay it because we want to have some documentation in ready, which I think Vivek is working on that. After that, we will be able to do it, okay? Anything else you want to ask now? We have another 3-4 minutes. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay. So very good that you came. And Satyaji, you keep on coming now, okay?
Okay.
In the same dress anyway.
Yeah.
Inspirational. Okay.
Bhimji, you may know Satyaji is my neighbor.
I know that. That's very good. Satyaji, I need to talk to you about something else.
Sure. No
I'm
problem,
writing
Ashwin.
something and I'll share with you ideas, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Because
No
you are a good writer, I know that. I
problem.
admire your writing style. Sometimes you are a little bit angry, but that's all right. Some people aren't happy about that, but don't worry about that, okay?
Yes.
You are a brilliant writer, believe me.
Thank you very much, sir.
I told somebody else about that too, by the way. I openly declare it, okay?
Yes, sure.
Save our friends, okay?
Sure.
From your criticisms, which are truthful anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Vande Mataram.
Okay.
Everybody namaskar ji.
Namaste ji, namaste.
Namaste.
I was just listening such a wonderful talk and enjoyed it very much. Though I was a little bit late, but I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And Vivek Saab, you really did a great job. I learned the history actually. In school when we were there were hardly one page will talk about this gentleman and what he was. I think we missed a lot of things when we were the student in the school and the college. They should have taught more about this type of people than just talking to somebody else. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful talk and enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.